What is up, guys? So finally AD carries might be getting back to where they were kind of last season with armor pen and stuff like that. Not quite the same, but there's a few buffs on the PB which are awesome. Let me know what you think about this and if you think it's going to be enough or not. I know that lethality is kind of meh at the moment, right? It's okay, but it's not amazing. We would actually buy armor pen items early last season because it gave us early damage and let us do more in the lane phase or mid game. Basically, like, we weren't pushed around as much and we weren't useless like we kind of are more this season. So most people don't even know how lethality works, honestly. So very quickly, lethality is still armor pen. You get 40% of the lethality stat as armor pen straight away at the very start of the game, and the other 60% is based on the target you hit's level. So if we have 20 lethality hitting a level 18 late game, it is just going to be 20 armor pen. If we have 20 lethality hitting a level 1, it's going to be 8 armor pen. 40% of the 20 is 8, the other 12 comes from the scaling part. That is why it's not as good early anymore at all. You buy 20 lethality, but you don't actually get 20 armor pen. This is actually being changed though. So right now on the PB, the formula has been swapped around. We now get 60% instantly regardless of level, and 40% of it depends on the enemy level. This is actually pretty big, I think. It's a 20% shift, and considering lethality isn't that bad anyway on certain ability based champions, it's just going to be better even at the start of the game. So before we go into actually why I think it might be coming back, there are two more buffs just for individual items, Dustblade and Edge of Night. Now apparently Ghostblade is already in a decent spot, so there aren't going to be any buffs here, and actually I kind of think this is true. Like, AD cooldown reduction lethality is a really good combination of stats, plus the active is now for mobility rather than damage. Dustblade though is getting its damage increased to 75 from 50, and Edge of Night is having its cooldown reduced to 30 seconds from 45 seconds. Dustblade is actually pretty awesome change. I really like it. Remember, by the way, this is now 75 plus 200% of your lethality as true damage. So even though it's only 25 more, right, it's actually true damage, so it's going to mean a bit more than normal because it ignores like all the enemy's armor. The Edge of Night one though, I don't know, like, you use a cooldown before a fight anyway, right? So you have the shield as you dive in, and you can't use it during because you can't take any damage or deal any. Maybe you can if like you ran away to the corner of the fight and you activate it, but why would you do that? You're losing so much damage. Does that really work? I don't think the cooldown on it matters that much. If we use it at the start and dive in, you don't use it twice anyway, so really this might actually just be a really useless change. At least Dustblade is better though, right? Plus remember, it's actually a lot more damage than you think it is with the new formula thrown in as well. Now every bit of damage you do now is going to get that increase from lethality. So I know, like, wow, 40% to 60% of the stat, that doesn't seem like much, and I know, but like, think of it this way. Armor pen is going to affect almost everything you do in a fight, right? Like, every auto attack is now going to do more and benefit from that 20% shift. Every ability, most of your abilities are going to be AD, let's be honest, is going to do more because of that 20% shift as well. So because lethality is a stat that affects all physical damage, the increase is actually affecting more than you think it does, so it's a bigger deal than it first looks. A 20% increase in ratio is not going to be that much for a single ability, but imagine we just do that for the entire kit. It's not quite like that. You're not going to increase all your damage by 20% or anything like that. It's not going to break the game or anything, but we still have the crappy side as well, where it's only 60% as armor pen. We have to find that other 40% during the game as we level up, and that does suck ass. But in my head, armor pen ADs were too strong last season. Let's be honest, right? I abused Jhin, I abused Misfortune for elo with armor pen because they were so dominant in the lane phase and mid game. Like, if I lost, it was normally because a crit late game AD caught up with me late game full build and did more. Even just looking at Lucian, right? He was like a decent pick last season, and now without that build, he's kind of trashed it, so it must have been good. So basically, yes, it is weaker from last season, but now not as much. It's closer to what that OP level last season was, and that might be enough to bring it back more. It's not like it's nerfed across the board, it's just going to be scaling into the game a bit more, so only a little bit weaker early into the game. Korea even still plays Lucian with Ghostblade, by the way. It's not as popular, but it still has a good win rate in Diamond Plus, and it still do it for the exact same reasons as last season. Even Draven uses Ghostblade, right? So does Jhin, so does Misfortune. Ghostblade is naturally going to be stronger because of this change now, and now maybe Dustblade is worth it a bit more as well. Like, it's a big chunk of buffed true damage plus more lethality. By the way, I do still think crit is strong. I'm not saying it's going to replace it or dominate 100% or anything like that, but this might give us the option. So if we want early damage, we play someone who has good ability damage and we build lethality like a Jhin or a Draven. If we want late game damage, then we just pick Warlords instead and someone who builds crit. This is going to open us up to not getting rammed every single game, hopefully at least, because we can look at the enemy team comp and figure out what we want to do. It'll also fit our playstyles a bit more. Sadly, it's also probably going to make Draven even more overpowered than he is right now, which is not going to be cool. I actually don't know why he got buffed this patch because he was already really good. Now, the other side of this actually, which was kind of interesting, it might make bot lane more aggressive if it does come back. Like, these really defensive redemption supports are good if there isn't too much fighting bot lane. They're not going to be as strong though if lane bullies like Leona, Blitzcrank, and Alistar come back into the meta, who all in and kill stuff. Those aren't as strong right now in the meta because AD carry damage is lower early. They don't really want to fight as much. They're still building building their crit items, but if lethality is buffed, then we get more ghost spades in the lane phase, and that actually could change and defensive supports get pooped on a bit. Obviously, this isn't just AD carries, but I wanted to mention them the most because if something does change, it's going to be the biggest change for ADs. Junglers especially use lethality because they aren't fighting in lane as much early, so it doesn't really matter if it's weaker earlier in the game, to be honest. Anyway, by the time you get to team fights, like everybody's got a few levels anyway. Edge of Night is awesome for damage heavy junglers. The cooldown doesn't really matter as much, but it's better than you probably think it is because you can dive in and it blocks the first crowd control, which lets you survive or kill stuff. Nocturne and Kha'Zix are the main ones I can think of, especially Kha'Zix with his ultimate and the extra Dustblade damage now. That's going to be like extra 75 damage at least on top of a lot already. There must be more than those two or like who could actually use them, but those are the ones that stand out to me. Let me know in the comments if you have any others. Anyway, I wanted to keep this nice and short to get to the point and see what you guys think. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.